Hey everyone, my name is Taylor Stewart, and today I'll be giving you a presentation on how to create a culture of readers in your school. We will be using the book Lead with Literacy, a pirate leader's guide to developing a culture of readers by Mandy Ellis. If you have not had a chance to read this book, I highly recommend it. It is a great book, a great read, an easy read. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in and share my screen with you guys. I have a handout to show you. Let me get it pulled up here. So this handout is one that is going to help you create a culture of readers and to promote reading for students. So I have just briefly listed 4 of the ideas that we're going to cover during our presentation today. So we have popsicles with the principal, donut and pajama party, reading rewards, and read with the students. Now, this handout, feel free to take notes on it as we go along through the PowerPoint when you feel that you want to take notes on each of these aspects or each of these strategies to promote reading with students. I also have a second handout. Now this one is creating a culture of readers, how to promote reading with teachers. We as teachers often need to be involved in reading professional development books and bettering ourselves and strengthening our craft as teachers and just becoming more engaged in the reading process overall with students. So the 2 strategies that we're going to look at today for this one is Strangers in a Ball Pit and book tasting. So now that you have your handouts, and like I already mentioned, feel free to take notes on them as we go through the PowerPoint. So let's just jump right in and we'll start this PowerPoint. Just a second, it's being slow. All right, here we go. All right, so creating a culture of readers. So the first thing we want to talk about is why create a culture of readers. Why is it important? Reading is essential to any profession, and it's the basis for developing habits of continuous learning. So we are educating the next generation of doctors, lawyers, teachers, computer programmers, scientists, you name it. We are the educators of that next generation of people. And those people cannot have those jobs if they are not readers. So it is our job to teach our students that reading is essential to any profession that they will go into. When students are talking about books, the reading moves beyond an assignment. That is completely true. If we encourage students to love reading, and if we build a culture of reading in our schools and in our classrooms, we are enabling these students to learn to love books, to become lifelong readers, lifelong learners, and they're going to want to have those books, and they're going to be able to talk to their friends about this book or that book, or talk to their teachers or their principal or other staff in the building about a book that they might be reading. So when students begin talking about those books, it moves way beyond just an assignment we have them complete. A love of reading should be established so that reading is not forced. Reading is something that should never be forced. When I was in school and had to have a book and they told me that I had to read it and I had to complete this assignment, I was less likely to read that book and enjoy it or read the whole thing. I would usually skim through it and get the gist of it and just not take the time to read it. So we don't want to force reading on the students. We want them to learn to love it. And the last point here is readers are leaders. That is so true. We are educating, like I said, the next generation of leaders of the world. And for them to be leaders, they need to be readers. So if you're a reader, you can be a leader. Do staff members need to love reading? You bet they do. If a kid comes into school and sees that the staff member or their teacher does not enjoy reading, chances are they're not going to like reading either. So we need to make sure that these teachers that are inside of our building have a strong love of reading, because strong staff reading interest reflects a strong culture of literacy. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're building a culture of reading, a culture of literacy inside of our school. And when we have staff members that love reading, then we are going to show the students that we have a strong culture of literacy within our school. Students will look to their teachers for reading guidance. That is so true. So often I have students come up to me and ask for recommendations on what book that they should read next, or they tell me, I really like this book. Are there any more books like this? So they need guidance from their teachers, and if a teacher is not interested in their love of reading and the students' love of reading, then they're not going to be able to offer good guidance when reading these stories. All right, now from this book, Lead with Literacy, we need to learn how to lead like a pirate. Now, this pirate is an acronym, and the P is for passion, the I is for immersion, the R is rapport, the A is ask and analyze, the T is transformation, and the E is enthusiasm. All right, let's start with the passion. The pirate leaders, the principal or any leader inside of your school building, they need to have passion for their work. They need to have passion for what they're doing. We need to be able to see that passion come out in everything that they do. The I is for immersion. The leaders need to be immersed in their work and in their work relationships. The R is rapport. Pirate leaders need to have intentional rapport, good rapport with their staff members. If there's not an intentional good rapport going on there, then they're not going to be able to lead like a pirate. So we need to have some good rapport going on throughout the whole building, because everyone's going to have to work together for us to build a culture of reading. If we are not all in this together, then the culture of reading will not be built in the proper way. A is for ask and analyze. So pirate leaders need to ask great questions. Ask great questions all the time. Ask questions about reading. Ask questions to staff members about reading, to students about reading, and have them analyze their answers. And you can analyze their answers that they give to you as well. The T is for transformation. So pirate leaders need to transform ordinary into extraordinary. So when it comes to lessons in the classroom or reading a story or anything that is going on there in their building, they need to transform it from just a plain, boring, ordinary activity to an extraordinary activity. And the last one is E for enthusiasm. Pirate leaders need to be enthusiastic about everything they do. If they come and they just seem bored and not interested at all, then the kids are not going to be interested. So you need to have enthusiasm with everything you do. Now that we know what a pirate leader does, we need to set sail towards a pirate leader reading environment. So now that we know how to lead like a pirate, we need to set sail towards a reading environment that reflects us leading like a pirate. So S is for student choice, A is for ample access, I is for independent reading time, and L is for literature-rich learning environment. So let's go into each one of these in a little more detail. The S is for student choice. So choice is a very powerful thing. When we give the students the ability to choose a book that they want to read, they are automatically going to be more interested. They're going to feel that they have a little bit of power and control in their own education and their own interests. So we need to give them choice whenever possible. The teachers need to give up that control of picking books for their students or picking reading activities for their students. I know for myself, it's hard to give up that control sometimes, but it's a necessary process so the students can be responsible for their own learning. And provide recommendations when needed. So we're not going to give up all the control. We're still going to have a little bit of control and a little bit of guidance. So those kids, like I mentioned earlier, might come up to you and need a recommendation or some guidance on picking their next book, and you will be able to lead them to a choice that fits their interests. Ample access. This is so important. In this book, Lead with Literacy, the principal, Mandy Ellis, talked so much about ample access in their building. They had books everywhere. The kids had access to these books at all times throughout the day. They had a school library, classroom libraries. They had reading emergency shelves tucked in every nook and cranny in their building. They had them just lined in the hallway. They had a bathtub of books in their hallway. So the kids could go by this bathtub or go by these emergency reading shelves and pick up a book, and there were no strings attached. So we need to build a culture of this in our own school building in some way, because this is so motivating to students. And even our last point here, Little Free Libraries, that is a program where you build a box and set it up outside of your school building, set it up on the playground, set it up around your community, and it is stocked with books, and people can come and take books and put books back, and there's no time limit on how long they can have these books or how long it's going to take them to read it. We just want to get these books into the hands of kids, in the hands of kids in the community, so that we can create a culture of leaders in our community, a culture of readers in our classroom, and in our school building. Independent reading time for the I in SEL. So I have a quote here for you. It says, intentional time and focus devoted to the right things are what will ultimately propel you forward. And that's from Lead Like a Pirate. So students absolutely need independent reading time. It is such a vital activity for us to provide during the day. It does not have to be a set aside time inside of your hour-long reading block. It can be in your reading block, but independent reading time can occur anytime a student has free time during the day. We need to be able to teach those students how to seize that time during the day and to develop their stronger reading habits. We want them to be able to build up their stamina, to be able to read for longer and read independently. So independent reading time is such an important activity that we need to provide to students every single day. The last part of the SEL acronym is learning environment. Learning spaces need to be comfortable. I know when I'm reading a book, I want to be in a comfortable environment, and just sitting in a hard desk is not very comfortable for students, and they're not going to be very motivated to read in that type of environment. So create a nook or a cranny inside of the corner of your classroom. Decorate it. It doesn't have to be very expensive. It can be inexpensive. Decorate it in a cute, fun, creative way. There are tons of ideas on Pinterest to create reading areas in your classroom, or you can just come up with ideas on your own. But it's very beneficial to have a cozy spot for these kids to be able to read during their independent reading time or buddy reading. Flexible seating is another fun activity. Instead of having desks and tables in your classroom, you can have wobble chairs, beanbag chairs, camping chairs, just all kinds of different textures and all kinds of different feels and all kinds of different materials for these kids to enjoy, to be curled up in and reading a book. A bookshelfie station is something that was from the book Lead with Literacy. Just take an old picture frame, put hashtag bookshelfie on it, and have the kids take pictures with the books that they are currently reading, and they can share those pictures with their friends, or teachers can take pictures with the books they are reading there and share it on social media classroom pages. So that is another great strategy to promote a culture of readers in your learning environment. And the last one is Teddy Time. So that is when a service dog came into the school in the Lead with Literacy book and read with students who have a hard time with reading out loud or reading with another person. When this dog came in, these students that had confidence issues in their own reading was able to open up and read to this dog. So there are many programs out there that offer these service animals to come into schools and to be able to read with students. I know at my school, we had talked about a service dog coming into one of our special education classrooms to work with students on reading and just their behaviors. And I think it would be a great thing to implement in our school. So now here is when you need to get out that how to promote reading for students handout. So how are we going to motivate our students to read? Motivation begins the minute that these kids walk through the front doors, and there's 4 easy ways that we're going to motivate them. Donut and pajama story time, popsicles with the principal, read with the students, and reading rewards. So the first one, donuts and pajama story time. Obviously, the students are going to get to wear their pajamas. They're going to be so motivated to come to school that day because wearing their pajamas is something out of the ordinary. And as we all know, kids absolutely love pajama day. You are going to read stories that go with whatever theme, and it doesn't have to be donuts. It could be any kind of treat. But the book that I'm suggesting here for you, if you give a dog a donut, or the Jelly Donut Difference, or the Juice Box Bully, all these would go great with a donut pajama story time. So you're going to serve the donuts to the students, and then you're also going to do a craft or some type of activity that goes along with the story. This would be such a motivating activity for the students to be able to listen and read this story. The next one is Popsicles with the Principal. This can be a summer program because, as we all know, kids need to continue their reading over the summer. They don't need to just put their books away and forget about it. We need to keep the books in their hands all summer long. So you could read a book with a summer theme, or any theme would really work. You could have special guests come over the summer, guest readers to read stories, or you could have community members come in and talk about their jobs, or the fire department could come and talk about what they do to save people and be heroes, and they could show off the fire truck. There's just so many options that you can do when you bring in special guests from the community. The next one will be have popsicles on the playground. So this is Popsicles with the Principal. So we know we're going to read a story, and then we could go out to the playground and we're going to have those popsicles, and the kids are going to be so excited to receive that reward for listening to the story and learning from it. So the principal really needs to be involved in reading activities. They don't get to be involved in it all the time because they're not in every single classroom every minute of the day. So this is a great way to get the principal involved with these students. And when the kids get to spend time with someone that they don't typically get to spend time with, they're going to be motivated to learn. The next one is read with the students. Simply sitting down and reading a book with the students can be such a relationship building process. You get to know so much about the kid. You get to know their book interests, their things about their life that you typically wouldn't know before. You can build such a great relationship with a student when you read a book. You can pull the students aside to read with them one-on-one. You could read with them in small groups. You could send students to read with the principal. That would be another great thing. I know I said Popsicles with the Principal could be in the summer, but you could also implement it during the school year. It would be another great way to involve the principal in the students' reading. You want the students to be able to celebrate reading with you. We don't want them to feel like they're being punished to read with us. We want them to feel excited, so we need to celebrate it. And again, bring reading volunteers into the classroom. Bringing volunteers into the classroom is a great way to get people involved. And the last one is reading rewards. I know the kids at my school, when we have Accelerated Reader, they love working towards a goal of being able to receive a reward. And so some great ideas to reward students would be ring a bell when a goal is met, have a traveling trophy that would move from desk to desk when each student met their goal. Positive phone calls home are a great way to get parents involved in the reading process as well. Let them know how their student is doing at school and how well they are reading. Again, you could send them to the principal with a positive note saying how well they've been reading in class today. Lunch bunch is something my kids loved. Now, every time that we would reach a reading goal, we could have lunch bunch in the classroom. So you could set a class-wide goal or individual goals, and anytime they met those goals, they would be able to come eat their lunch in the classroom with the teacher. My kids would beg to do lunch bunch. They loved it. You could even have a VIP table set up in your classroom. It could be very inexpensive to decorate it with streamers or tablecloths and just make it a special table. And if the student reaches their goal, they can sit at that special table for the day. You could even have markers back there that they could use instead of pencils or crayons. Just be creative. They get to be special, the VIP for that one day. Now, we know that students need motivation to be able to read and become successful readers and lifelong readers, but do the teachers need motivation too? Of course they do. We need motivated all the time. I know that I have a very busy schedule, and sometimes I don't find time to pick up a educational book and read it and learn on how to better myself as a teacher. I know it's a necessary skill, but with life as crazy as it can be sometimes, it is hard to find time to do that. But we need to be motivated sometimes too to ask each other about what we're reading and about how we are enjoying the books or what type of books they're reading, so maybe we can get involved in those books as well. So here's 2 ways that we can motivate teachers. So strangers in a ball pit and a book tasting. With strangers in a ball pit, there's going to be a ball pit set up, and you're going to put 2 of your staff members inside this ball pit, and the balls are going to have questions written on them about reading. So like, what is a book that you're reading right now? Or what is your favorite professional development book? Or what is your favorite read aloud to students? And you're getting that conversation going among the 2 educators about books, about reading, and opening up that conversation for communication. And the next one is book tasting. You could easily set this up at a professional development. You could have books like Lead with Literacy set up and other books similar to this. And they're going to taste each book and get an idea about what type of book it is and if they would be interested in reading it or not. And then they can even open up their minds to books that they might not have thought that they didn't even want to read before, but maybe now they do. So my question to you is, are you ready to be a pirate leader of reading? And your answer is going to be, aye, aye, Captain. At this point, you are very well aware of how to be a pirate leader in your school and in your classroom. So here is my references from the book, Lead with Literacy. I had such a great time presenting this to you guys today. I hope that you took a lot away from this presentation, and now you understand how to motivate students and teachers in your building to become lifelong readers and how to build a culture of readers in your school.